right now we're going to watch some Star Wars crap, and I'm going to give my honest, blunt opinion of the whole thing. Dear Lord, help us. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Breathing. Heavy breathing. Oh, for a minute there I thought it was star porn or something. Daisy Ridley. Looks like Tatooine.
We've passed on all we know.
Luke's voice. She's reassembled the lightsaber.
1,000 generations live in you now.
What is that in the distance? That's a TIE fighter.
But this is your fight.
That's point number one I need to talk about. Just keeping track. Hey, Holly, how's it going? I like the cinematography. I like the roll through. This is obviously Jordan where they filmed this. Okay. Looks like a TIE interceptor, probably Kylo Ren's. Looks like she's trying to gain speed. A ninja move coming. Alright. Interesting. Oh, some rock bottom action. Helmet. New droid. There's my boy Lando. Nice. Nice. Rocket packs. Metal.
We'll always be with you.
Carry.
No one's ever really gone.
Blue. It's in blue. The Rise of Skywalker. Okay. Let's do some quick little walkthroughs. I'm gonna go back through it. We're gonna make some pauses so I can talk a little bit. Okay, first off, I don't know what it is about desert planets. Not really sure. Star Wars loves to use desert planets. I think it actually goes back to the Shogun mythological vision that George Lucas had for the original ones. Luke comes from nothing, so he was on a desert planet. Of course, Daisy Ridley's character, Rey, she comes from a desert planet, Jakku. So she comes from nothing. That's the whole theme, is that heroes can come from anywhere. That's why when you look at the different hero classes, you have the unassuming princess, the old hermit with a past, the young boy in the desert with no lineage, and then the rogue pirate who has no business being a hero and is a selfish scoundrel. And they all come around together, and in each other they find that need to be hero for good. That was the original plot line of A New Hope, the first film. It echoes through here. Okay, first off, there's a couple different things this could be. This could be Jakku, where she's from. I don't think so, because the biggest part of Jakku is the fact that the huge amount of debris and battle damage of Imperial ships and stuff. You don't see any of that in any of this trailer. Some people say Tatooine. The problem is that Tatooine, although it did have these hills like where the Sand People were, where Ben Kenobi was and such, it was pretty devoid of all this shrubbery brush. Now, of course, let's be honest, Tatooine was shot in Tunisia, and that's a Saharan desert, which has no vegetation like this. So that would explain a lot of that. But they're filming in Jordan. In fact, they said that this valley here is where they filmed Lawrence of Arabia, which is one of the greatest movies of all time. So that's interesting right there, that they actually picked this valley to shoot this. Here's the thing that I've noticed. Let's continue on. Pause it here for a second. Right there. Now, For those who are really into Star Wars, and unfortunately I'm one of them, and if you're not a Star Wars fan, that's okay. Just kind of bear with me a little bit. Um, as a Jedi becomes more in tune with the Force, they can be tired. They can be um, discombobulated. They can be shocked. They can be exasperated. They can be all these things. But when they learn to center themselves in the Force and just breathe out and focus, which she just did, they can regenerate themselves. They can have superhuman strength and speed and focus. And this is something she's doing. She's breathing out so she can focus with her
We've
eyes.
passed on all we know.
We've passed on all we know is obviously referring to the fact that some time has gone by. She had those hidden texts that she took with her. She's obviously been studying them. So that's pretty interesting. I think that's pretty cool. Okay, now, right here. This is a little different, okay? Although this is very similar to Luke's lightsaber that we remember from all the previous movies and from the last movie, as you can see, it is a little smaller. If you go back to the movie from before this, The Last Jedi, when or the movie before that, The Force Awakens, when she receives the lightsaber, you'll notice that in her hands it was quite a bit bigger because she's very small. She's slight. She's a slight person. So when she rebuilt this, she rebuilt it smaller. So those people that are saying it's Skywalker's lightsaber and stuff, I'm sorry. The components may be from his lightsaber, but she's built it back slightly smaller for her grip. Now, some people don't know this, but according to all the canon, even the current canon and the old canon, this is something that hasn't changed, kind of like the Millennium Falcon hasn't changed, is that the Jedi assemble their lightsabers using the Force. You cannot use your hands. They use their mind, and they pull it together using telekinesis. So she can make it any size she wants with her components or whatever. So that's important part. Most people really don't care, but there you go.
1,000 generations.
Okay, you can see it right here. I'm going to use my little pointer here. You can automatically see the telltale sign of a TIE fighter. You can hear that distinct noise of the twin ion engines.
Generations live in you now.
Okay. It's smaller, you can see. Now, stop. Okay. Stopping the video because I have to go on a slight tirade. A little bit. Okay. Okay. It was my biggest problem with Force Awakens. My problem with it has continued through The Last Jedi, and obviously right now it's a problem too. TIE fighters have no business flying in the atmosphere. Period. Physics, it does not support it. I don't care what the technology is. It's stupid to have them there. An X-Wing, fine. Why? Because X-Wing has horizontal and lateral wings like a regular airplane. A TIE fighter does not. In fact, a TIE fighter does not have wings at all. The reason why they call it a TIE fighter is not because it looks like a bow tie, but actually the reason why they call it a TIE fighter is because TIE, twin ion engines. Now, the panels on the side of a TIE fighter are not wings. They're ionization collectors. They collect ionized particles from space. By absorbing those particles, they feed the engine. It's a twin ion collected engine that gives it that particular sound. The panels themselves really do nothing except collect ions. Another thing is the maneuvers that these TIE fighters were doing in The Force Awakens and stuff are by the basic laws of universal physics. I don't care if it's science fiction or not. It's stupid to put a TIE fighter in an atmosphere. It would rip itself apart. The reason why I say that is every time they've crashed one on the ground, what does it do? It flies apart. Sorry, it's just not going to work. Now, I'm going to let this one slide. Why? Because, thank you, Mochi, that's true. Because there is no air resistance in space. The twin ionization collector panels will work properly in space, absorbing the ionized gas to power the engine. In the atmosphere, the wind will rip those suckers right off on any turn. Plus, there's nothing to give it lift. There's just nothing there. Okay. The reason why I'm going to let this one go on this particular scene is because this is a TIE interceptor. The difference between a TIE fighter and a TIE interceptor is similar to the difference between, I don't know, the Wright brothers biplane and the F-22 Raptor stealth fighter. Okay? This is not a gangly ship. It doesn't have straight panels. It has concave panels with lateral lift panels. So technically, aerodynamically, it would not fly itself apart in the atmosphere. Now that I've said that, I'm going to move on. Hey QF, how's it going, buddy? All right, let's move on. Okay, now that I've vented my number one thing that I've hated that all the new Star Wars movies have, TIE fighters in the atmosphere, I'm going to move on.
But this is your fight.
Oh, also, for those people who are asking, is that Kylo Ren flying that? Yes. You know how you know it's Kylo Ren flying that? Two reasons. Number one, it is identical to the ship that Kylo Ren was flying, his personal interceptor, in the last movie. The other way that I know, doing great, but I don't think I'm going to have a girlfriend later in the year. Oh, dude, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, by the way, I will. Working on that. All right, let's move on. This next part, the reason why I know that it's Kylo Ren flying it, this sucker hugs the ground. And I mean hugs the ground, flying what, a foot, maybe 3 feet off the desert surface without having a problem. There are two things that we know for. Oh, nice, dude. That's great, QF. Congratulations. Hopefully that works out for you. I don't know why. Lucky man, I guess. Here's the thing. Two things. Number one, there's two constants in the Star Wars universe. Number one, TIE fighter pilots will hit shit. The second, Stormtrooper blasters will not. Those are the two constants in the Star Wars universe. So the only person that's going to fly that TIE fighter interceptor that low to the ground and not wipe it out would be a Jedi, which would be Kylo Ren. Because a regular TIE fighter pilot's going to flip that sucker and land it into something. They're not that good. And number two, if it, Stormtrooper blasters don't hit shit. So there you go. There's two constants. So here we go. A TIE fighter pilot will hit stuff with its wings, and a Stormtrooper blaster will not hit anything. Those are the two constants in the Star Wars universe. Let's continue. Every generation has a legend. Okay. I do like this view coming through. Question. Why does she turn on her lightsaber right now? And why does she do this pose? Is it just because I want to look like a badass? Because the last time I checked, real Jedi Knights don't have to turn on their lightsaber until the second before they need them. She doesn't need it right now. This is a hero pose. Similar to, I don't know, on Deadpool, when they came off the top of the building. And he's like, oh, superhero landing. Oh, yeah. It's exactly what this is. She's posing. This is for the trailer. It looks cool. Just badass female. That's all this means. That's all it's for. Because all she had to do is stand there and just take off running and turn her lights. The thing about it is, running with a lightsaber, even as a Jedi, is dangerous. She's hauling ass. If you and I ran with a lightsaber lit, we'd cut our legs off. We know we would. We know we would. Here we go. He's speeding up. All right, real quick. Okay, some people that have seen this have said that there's some fan theories that think that she's going to jump up and land on the top of it because her and Kylo Ren are going after a bad guy and he's picking her up. Two things. Jedi or not, at that speed, the only thing she can do on this is hit the top of it and disable it with her lightsaber in some kind of ninja Jedi move. To try to grab a hold of it or land on it at that speed, sorry. You're going to break every bone in your body, and if you try to grab onto it with your arm, it's going to yank your arm off. He's moving at approximately at least 400 to 500 miles an hour. It ain't going to happen. So this is obviously a kick flip, and she's going to, do a nice good Jedi slash to the top of it as it comes in. Yeah, so nice kick flip. She's obviously going to come over, slice the top of it. Yeah, totally digging this design. Instead of the blasters being in the center pod, they're out here on these collector sides. Again, as you see here, here are the ionized particle collectors on the top and sides. It's kind of interesting. Okay. Pretty cool planet here. Obviously, this is a planet similar to Hoth, except it's at night. There's some snow flutters. There's a city in the mountains. That's kind of cool. Nice visual. Okay, Kylo Ren. Okay. Some people were saying that he was doing this to resistance fighters. I don't think this is a resistance fighter. In fact, I don't even think it's humanoid. The guy's carrying an axe. So these are primitive. Here's another axe here. These are primitives that they're wiping through. I don't think this is some kind of battle where he's fighting resistance. I think this is primitive people they're wiping out. He's actually clotheslining using the pollards, the hilts of the lightsaber to stab when he drops. Really weird. Welding his helmet back together. Okay, real quick, let me go back one little shot here. Okay. This is an important shot in timeline, and some people may not get this, but I do. Look at Finn's hair. Okay, so some time has elapsed. If you remember, in the end of the last movie, his hair was really short. His hair is grown out a little bit. He looks a little bit older. Granted, years have passed, but for an aesthetics point of view, this is obviously, I don't know how much time has passed, but it wasn't a couple days. So we know it's at least been a few months, if not years. He's holding Finn's staff that we saw her on in the first of the trilogy. Don't know what the significance of that is. Okay. This little robot is, okay. These are two, oh yeah, full nerd analysis. These are two absolutely wonderful examples of how to make money. Okay? You don't see R2. Why? Because R2's old. This was the money maker the last two movies. This has no purpose but to make more money because it's the new droid that you can... Wait, you want to know what the funny thing about it is? Some of you know that I'm a Disney travel planner, right? So I know a lot about Disney. You can buy this droid in the new Disney area of Star Wars and Walt Disney World when it opens. You can buy this little bad boy, and it does move, and you can get it where it reacts to the environment. Yeah, this sucker is here for one reason and one reason only, so that every little child will want to have one. Look how small it is. What other purpose could it have except to make money? All right, here we go. This is cool. Thank you for putting Lando back in here. I am happy that it's not Rey or Finn sitting in Han's chair. I'm glad that it's Lando back in the chair. This was originally his ship that Han won from him. I think it's great that him and Chewie are doing what they need to do. I'm hoping they allow Lando to be Lando and not new Lando. Like, I'm hoping that he doesn't hump the control console like the new Lando would. But at the same time, I hope he's still... Okay, there is pansexual, gender fluid Lando, the new one. Nothing wrong with it. But I would rather the Colt 45 Lando. You know what I'm saying? Nothing's cooler than a Colt 45, baby. I want that Lando. I want that Lando. When he sees Leia, he's like, hello, what do we have here? I mean, that's the Lando I want. I want the suave guy. I want Barry White in a cape. That's what I want. Just give me that. We have that. I don't care if he's in the movie for 5 seconds. If Rey walks by and he's like, I'm good. He won't. He won't. There's no way Disney is putting Billy D. Williams to sit there and go, as a girl walks by. It's not going to happen. But even if he was to like, if he was to see Ray or someone, and he does that cape swirl, pick up and kiss their hand, and he does this dashing there. That would be it. I'd be happy with that. Don't think it's gonna happen, but let's be honest, it'd be cool if it did. Let's move on. Some jetpack stormtroopers. That's interesting. Okay, a lot of people don't know what that is. Does anyone know? Yeah. Does anyone know what that is? This right here. Can anybody guess what that is? Can somebody give me a guess as to what this is right here? Come on. Someone take a guess. Anybody, take a guess as to what this is. Can somebody please take a guess as to what that is? I'll wait. I'll wait. Someone please take a guess. It's in my chat. Someone please take a guess as to what is being held in her hand right now. Anybody? QF, that is correct. This is either Han or Luke's medal that was given to him by the Princess Leia after the first Death Star was destroyed in Episode 4. Obviously, these are older hands that are holding this, so it's obviously a representation of Carrie Fisher's hands holding either the medal she gave to Han, probably Han's, because they were married, reminiscing about her husband, her brother, who are both now gone, the past, But yeah, this is the medals that were given at the end of the movie. Here's something interesting. This shot of Carrie Fisher. It was confirmed that this shot right here is not a CGI shot. They actually shot this during Episode 7 at some point for some reason, either at the end of the movie when they meet after the battle or whatever, for whatever reason, and they were able to reuse this shot of Carrie Fisher hugging Ray. I don't know what they added it in for, but J.J. Abrams says that he refuses to use any CGI to recreate Carrie Fisher in the new movie. So all the interactions you see are either with stunt doubles, like the next shot is a stunt double. This is not Carrie Fisher. The reason why you know is because that's a fairly new ear. It's not an old woman's ear. But this is where the tears are going. I'm assuming that this was a hug of either gratitude or thankfulness or happy to see you, and they reshot this with Ray having a tear fall for Carrie as part of this homage. Okay, here we go. Here's our band of plucky heroes. We see Finn with blue pants, by the way, blue pants with a red stripe. Who had blue pants with a red stripe? Han Solo did in the first movie with his own little vest. You have the sling belts. Here's the funny thing about these sling belts, okay? They're all using these harness belts, the tri-point belts. Look at Finn's. Why does he have bullets? Oh, well, guys can't see that, but because my head's in the way. But he has bullets on his belt. I don't know why. I didn't know this was a Western. Here's the thing. Here's C-3PO. I have no idea why C-3PO's in this shot. Maybe they needed a translator to talk to Sam people. I don't know. Here's the marketing ploy right here. Here's the first marketing ploy. And here's the best part of this whole shot. Who's got their back? Chewie's in the back. There's no Lando. Yeah, his leg is finally gold. And his arm is not red. Okay. And he's holding his bowcaster. That is legit old school Star Wars. That's the most old school looking thing. Don't get me wrong, Poe looks pretty. It's funny because see this shirt that Poe's wearing? You know what that reminds me of? Doesn't remind me of anything Star Wars. You know what it reminds me of? How many people look at that shirt and think Indiana Jones? Exactly. Okay, let's move on. They're obviously on a bluff. There's some mountains and stuff here. Okay, they're looking at an ocean where there's some wreckage. For all those who have no idea what the hell they're looking at, this is obviously wreckage of the Death Star. Now, I do not believe that it's the first Death Star. I believe that it's the second Death Star over over Endor. And the reason why I think that this is large pieces of the Death Star from Episode 6, which is over Endor, is because of the next thing that happens.
No one's ever really gone.
All right, here. Okay, let me just leave that like it is. Okay, the reason why I believe that that is the Death Star from Endor is because of the Emperor's Laugh. That is obviously Ian McDiarmid, who played Emperor Palpatine in the original series, and also he played Emperor Palpatine in the prequels. Okay, he is supposed to be dead. However, there's something I'm going to share that some people may or may not know. I think it's fairly known now. J.J. Abrams does like Star Wars. He liked Star Wars before Disney bought it. He's seen a lot of Star Wars. In fact, he read the Timothy Zahn books, which is the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy. In the Grand Admiral Thrawn trilogy, and also the books after it, there is in Star Wars, when light force users pass on, they can become force ghosts. One with the force, they can come back as collections of the force to project an image of themselves. When the Sith die because they abuse the force, their force explodes and inundates the things around it. For instance, when in Empire Strikes Back, when Luke is in training on Dagobah, the theory that existed in the old canon, and I'm assuming it holds true because nothing has been said opposite of it. When Luke goes into the tree and Yoda says he's going to stay outside, and Luke goes in and he sees the vision of Vader and he fights it and it winds up being his face and stuff. Okay. Yoda says that it is an area that is very, very heavy with the dark side. What people surmise, and some of the books later explain, the books, which is considered legacy canon, and it's dumped, but the story remains, that when Yoda fled to Dagobah to hide at the end of Episode 3, to hide away from Vader and the Emperor's purging, the reason why he chose Dagobah was because he had killed a dark Sith Lord there in the past. And so he hid there close to that area. And that his light side of the Force and the dark force of where he killed the Sith Lord, negated each other and hid him from the searching of the Emperor and Darth Vader. They also believe that the reason why Obi-Wan Kenobi hid in Tatooine so close to Luke was because where Obi-Wan lived was actually where Anakin had went and killed all those sand people, the hundreds of sand people. When he killed them all in that horrible Force anger rage, it shielded the negative and positive, hid each other to where Vader couldn't find Obi-Wan. So there was a way for the remaining Jedi Masters to hide their Force signatures away from the Emperor and Darth Vader by hiding them. There's a couple theories that have already come out, and they both make sense no matter which way it is. Number one, the Emperor is not alive, okay? If you think about it, when Vader threw the Emperor over the railing in the Return of the Jedi, you never saw him die, okay? You never saw him die. What you saw was him go down the shaft, and then a giant ball of Force energy explodes. Now, the problem is that energy gets dispersed all through the Death Star. Technically, the most powerful Sith to ever exist actually is embedded. His Force, his evil Force, is embedded in the Death Star. It's still there. There's Some people believe that Rey is going to go through her Jedi trial similar to the way Luke did by going to the Death Star and confronting the essence of the Emperor. That's one plausibility. The other plausibility is remember that J.J. Abrams is a fan of Timothy Zahn's work. One of Timothy Zahn's big themes in his books was that the force energy of the Emperor was so strong and evil that it would destroy his body over time. So the way that the Emperor kept his body from destroying itself with so much dark energy was that similar. He had, how there's clone troopers in the Clone Wars, and then afterwards there's none, and we only have stormtroopers. The reason why is because they said that the Emperor destroyed Kamino and destroyed the clone makers and kept the cloning technology for himself, and he was generating clones of himself and moving his force energy from one clone to another as his body would be destroyed by the amount of force energy. That's why every time you see the Emperor throughout each movie, his body just continues to fall apart. So there's also the possibility that there is a clone and the Emperor is there. These are all very simple little theories. People are going to theorize and have conspiracy crap about this movie from now until December. It's going to happen. There's going to be every theory known to man. And if one thing is true, every theory has been wrong. All of them have been wrong by a lot. So it's just fun to talk about it, but that's about all we're going to do with that. We do know that Ian McDiarmid was at the celebration when this was premiered, came out as the Emperor, and in the Emperor's voice said, "Roll it again." And then they played the whole trailer again. I have seen all the Avengers stuff, so I can't really do a reaction to that because I haven't seen it. So that's it for me. That is the Star Wars trailer for me. So I thought the trailer was done well. There are things about it that I don't really necessarily like per se, but I do that about everything in the new Star Wars. I'm going to be very critical because it's a big part of my childhood, and I know that there are a few people, even in chat, that are really into Game of Thrones, and you know who you are. I'm not into Game of Thrones as much as some people are, but I am into Star Wars like that. And it's been a very big struggle watching Disneyfy it and take away from it. I do like the fact that J.J. Abrams brought George Lucas in to help him with this one because he feels like it kind of went too far afield, which